When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Alrighty. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and we have a treat for you today. You know, week after week, we talk about business tips and tools that you can add to your toolbox. And last week, we talked about resiliency and we talked about emotional intelligence. Well, this week, we're going to give the business a little break and we're going to talk more about your personal life. We're going to dive into intimacy. So I want to know how many of you are sweating right now, a little nervous. Maybe you're like, intimacy. I don't know if this is something I want to talk about. Well, it's something that you can just listen to and enjoy what we have to say today, because I have an amazing speaker with us today, Susan Bratton. She's our guest today, and we're going to dive into intimacy. But before we do, I want to thank our sponsor of today's show, The Adventures of Julie Jones and Get Shit Done Coaching. Are you overwhelmed and overworked with a never-ending to-do list? You constantly feel tired because life seems hard and your needs are nowhere near the top of your priority list. Well, as an adventure and breakthrough coach, Julie Jones will support you in life that is easy, effortless, and most of all, fun. Stop spending time on the have-tos in life and truly start living a life of I get to. What are you waiting for? Take action and go to juliejones.biz and book a free 30-minute Live Out Loud call with Julie. I know she currently has a special on all of her breakthrough sessions that last anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. So if you feel stuck and you need a breakthrough, call Julie Jones or connect with her at juliejones.biz. All right, Susan, I'm excited to take this roller coaster ride with you today. It is going to be super fun. And here we go. Susan Bratton is the intimacy expert to millions. She's a champion and advocate for all of those who desire passion their whole life long. She is a spokeswoman for GAINSWave and FemiWave and is a co-founder and CEO of two corporations, Personal Life Media Incorporated, a publisher of heart-connected lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills, and The 20 LLC, a manufacturer of an organic and botanical supplement that enhances vitality. Susan has been featured in the New York Times and on CNBC and the Today Show. She makes frequent appearances on ABC, CBS, CW, Fox, NBC, and Take the Leap podcast. And Susan, welcome to the show.
And here I am. Hi, Colleen. Good morning. Yeah, it's funny how I wanted to say something about starting off with acknowledging that women might feel nervous about listening to something to intimacy.
Yeah.
A lot of times what I think is that we need to just cheer each other on more. Instead of being like, you're probably nervous, it should be, we have an incredible opportunity for you to have the full body touch, the loving, the adoration, the pleasure, the connection that you need to live a long and happy life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, getting you the education and the information that other people already have, and they're having what you probably want but aren't sure you could get. And so I just wanted to offer a reframe on it being more of a positive than a negative, because I kind of honestly feel like talking about sex and talking about it being like a thing that makes you nervous or sweaty, it really just perpetuates our shame around our embracing our sexuality. And I noticed that 9 times out of 10, when I'm a guest on a podcast, people are like, oh, you've got to, oh, if the kids are listening, shut this one off. It's like, you know what? It's just sex. We have sex. Let's learn the skills that We're not taught in school. We're not taught in church. We're not taught by our parents. It's not their job. It's our job, because our sexual growth is the other side of the same coin of our personal growth. Today is my 62nd birthday. And
Happy
I am
birthday.
having, thank you, the best sex of my life so far. And there's complete 110% indications that it's going to continue to get better and better, because I keep learning and growing and putting intention and attention on my sexuality. And that's the spirit I bring today. There's no reason to be nervous.
Yeah.
I've got you. I get it. And there's so many things. And they're little hinges that swing big doors. I love that phrase. One of the things that I've done is I'm working on my 44th book, and my books are little books. They're downloads that give you a technique or a reframe or a mindset or a strategy or an agreement with your partner, or all kinds of things that shift you so quickly into going from feeling performance anxiety, being unsure, not sure what you want, not really having sex be as great as you think maybe it might be for other people, into having the best sex of your life. So I really like to stand for that, like right out of the gate.
Yeah. And I think you said that beautifully. And for every female listening, I know if she doesn't have that connection already in her life, she wants that connection and is all ears at this point, because, you know, that feeling, we've all felt it maybe one time in our life, two times in our life, maybe ongoing for a little while in a specific relationship. Maybe you've lost that over the years. And today is about really how you can get that back or experience it for the first time. So I'm really excited to go.
I want to say one more
journey.
thing about that too, Colleen, and that is that one of my top selling books is called Sexual Soulmates, The 6 Essentials to Connected Sex. I've been helping people for 2 decades. I don't do any one-on-one work. I'm a publisher of passionate lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills. And so anybody can email me anytime and ask me questions. I answer them. I see how they implement what I recommended, and I get feedback. And I took decades of feedback to create that book with the 6 essentials for connected sex, because what I found was these are the things that move the needle, because I believe that there isn't a sexual soulmate out there. You know, when you said, you know, we remember that one person or that one time, and we saw that glimpse into what it could be. That is replicable, and all it takes is the skills to understand. So I might as well just give your listeners right out of the chute.
Let's do it.
That book to download for free. You can buy it on Amazon and spend $10 if you like a printed version. It's not expensive. I keep my books very inexpensive. But if you go to sexualsoulmatesbook.com, you can download the free PDF of it. And so if you want to know what those 6 essentials are, that really creates the foundation for co-creating incredible intimacy with the partner that you have. And one of the things that I do, though I've been married for 30 years, I do have research partners, and I am able to create incredible relationships with all of them because I simply use the techniques that work for any lovers. So I think that's important to say too.
Well, I would love to dive into what some of those techniques are. So what would you say the number 1 or 2 things you find of emails? Like, what are the number 1 emails that you receive from women or men that have questions about it when you're on some of these major networks and on other podcasts? What are some of the biggest questions that the listeners are having for you?
The number 1 biggest question that men ask me is, how do I get my wife or girlfriend to want to have more sex with me? And how do I get them to initiate sex? The number 1 question that I get from women is, I don't really feel like sex is that satisfying. I never really feel like I want it. If I have it, I'm glad I did, but I never want it. And those are actually the 2 sides of another coin that is the difference between the masculine and feminine. Masculine is testosterone dominant, and they wake up horny, and they wake up with an erection, and they masturbate daily because they're biologically wired to top up their semen so that they can procreate their species. And they have some competitive advantages. They get turned on really quickly, where the female body is estrogen dominant. So the male body, he's the predator. He's the single-minded, single-focused, drop trow, go anytime. If you're ready, I'm ready. And he's got to be ready when we're ready, because he never knows when we're ready. And I tell men, don't even think that initiation is her job. It is not. You initiate. No matter how wildly sexual she is, it's really the masculine paradigm to help a woman get out of her mind and into her body, because as an estrogen dominant female body, we're the prey, not the predator. We are thinking about a million things. We're multitaskers. We're not as goal oriented. We've got a lot of things we've got to watch out for. Estrogen is a molecule of judgment. It's a molecule of keeping us safe. And we have as much erectile tissue as our male-bodied partners, but it's all in these little nooks and crannies in our vulva. And so it takes 20 minutes instead of 2 minutes for us to get turned on. And we don't start already horny 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time. We need our partners to seduce us, which means to move us toward pleasure, to calm us down, to create the environment for us to relax and just have a good time. And we need that every single time. And so when I say to guys, initiating sex is like taking out the trash and killing the spiders and rats. You just do it. You always do it. It's your job. It's the job of the dude. There's hardly any women who take out the trash. It's the dude. There's hardly any women who kill the rats. There's hardly any women who initiate sex. It's just the difference between our genders. And women, they flagellate themselves like, I should be horny. I should be wanting him. They should themselves to death. When in reality, it's just not how our biology works. So often I feel like thank you for the opportunity to let the women who are your fans know that they are not broken at all, that we have just basically been sold the bill of kind of patriarchally oriented sex. We're trying to have sex like men, and we're not men. And our men want to make us happy. They want to do what we need. They just don't live in our body, and they don't understand what we need. So we need to tell them. So a couple of the techniques in Sexual Soulmate. Number one is understanding our arousal process is very, very slow. But once we get going, we're just as turned on and desirous as our male-bodied partners.
So true.
That having our male-bodied partners, our men, slow down and create a nice space for us and get the nest all set up and have the fluffy towels and the nice music and the pitcher of water and the waterproof cover on the bed and the good lube we like, and, holding us and hugging us and letting us calm down and get out of our heads and remember how much we love our partner. We need those things every time. And I think that's very important. Setting the lover space is what I call that. And then the other really big one is the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT. And that's where that solves the problem of, I don't know what I want. I just know what I'm getting isn't it. And if I give my partner corrections, he gets butthurt and he feels like he's a failure. And then he gets all like crumpled emotionally, and then sex is a mess. And so I just keep to myself and I don't say what I need. I don't know what I need, or I don't say what I need. And the Sexual Soulmate Pact, which is in sexualsoulmatesbook.com, it really helps you. It's kind of like a ninja technique that gets around the male ego. And it also helps women tune into the felt sense of their body to check in with where we are, because we're on a 28-day cycle for our whole lives. Just because we stop menstruating doesn't mean we're still not cycling our hormones. Right. We are. And so I think it's what I feel is that in many ways, my work is like a sigh of relief that you're not broken and you didn't do anything wrong. You were just playing on the playing field with the guys and it's not working. So let's get on a playing field that's the lovers playing field, where we each understand what we bring to the table and how our operating system, our sexual operating system, and our arousal system work.
That's beautifully said, Susan.
Thanks, hon.
And how you put that, which really, just in this moment for myself, listening to you say that, I have this sense of, I'm not broken. I shouldn't be the one that's, consistently being the aggressor, because that is a very male dominant type of masculine energy, right?
It is.
It is.
We need our guys to do that for us. We need them to carry the torch for this great sex life we want to have with them.
Yeah. So how would you say, because you said the number one question you get from males is, how do I get my wife to have more sex with me? Of course, I figured that was the number one question. And you eloquently, you eloquently answered that. But I would also ask the question. So for the females that are listening to this podcast episode and are realizing like, hey, I do really want to have more intimacy in my relationship. And maybe lately they don't feel that they've got as much intimacy as they could have. And they really want it and they love their husbands. Maybe they've been with them for years and, just whatever relationship you're in. How does that conversation start for that female, having the conversation with the male? Because I'm sure many of them are like, I do want that. But my husband maybe doesn't understand that, or my significant other. It's more of like you said, they're drop the trouser, they're ready at any point, and then it feels like I don't get what I need.
Which is so great. They always want us. They always desire us, which is so nice.
It's so nice.
That's the silver lining to, they're ready for intercourse all the time. There's a couple of things. The first one is that I really like to think about things in the construct of a husband or boyfriend training program. Okay. That they need us to teach them how our bodies work and how to get the most out of them, how to, really become a maestro at playing our bodies. And they can't do that without the communication. So go back to the Sexual Soulmate Pack. That's number one. Print it out, read it, give a copy to your partner, read it, have a discussion over dinner, and start trying it. It's literally a couple of little steps that are super easy, and you'll begin to get good at it. And the hardest part is that one of the things he needs to do is acknowledge your requests in a way that doesn't make you think that he's contracting, but that makes him leaning in to your requests and super happy to get them because they help him win. He wants to win and he wants to be respected and he wants to be appreciated for his prowess. And so that's really important to him. We want to be adored and found sexually irresistible. And so once you understand some of those basics, you can begin to do those things for each other and treat your partner the way they want to be treated. Play the platinum rule, not the golden rule. The golden rule is to do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But you can't treat a man like a woman, and a man can't treat a woman like a man. And so playing the platinum rule is super important. And that's understanding those differences. It's in the Sexual Soulmates Pack. It's sexualsoulmatesbook.com. So it's really nice. I explain that too. So that's number one. And number two is that sexuality became more of a patriarchal kind of a thing because the church said sex is for procreation only. And that meant that intercourse was the only thing that counted. And so often we are rushed to intercourse too fast because he's ready in 2 minutes and we're ready in 20. And so we have this notion of foreplay and then sex. And that means I'm going to do a couple things and then I'm going to penetrate you. And so we've pretty much been penetrated too soon our whole lives, which is why sex is not that interesting to us, because we've never been able to get a full engorgement. We have a lady erection, but we never achieve it because we're not pleasured enough before lovemaking. Often we don't even allow it because we're trying to get over and through sex just to make our partner happy. They don't like that either. That's not what they want either. So you have to nip that in the bud. You have to stop that cycle. And you have to begin to communicate, and you have to learn how to listen to your body. And so that's what the Sexual Soulmate Pact does. That's in the book. The second thing is that you need to expand your palette from we're going to have sex as an intercourse and start learning a wider range of pleasuring skills. There's a word, so the female genital system, the sexual operating system that we have, a lot of times people are beginning to be aware that the clitoris is a pleasure zone. Most women know that now, where before we've just been penetrated without any pleasuring. But I want to expand that concept to be even bigger, in that the clitoris is not just the tip of the clitoris with the 10,000 nerve endings. It has a tip, a shaft, arms, legs, a spongy tube, and a little sponge at the bottom. And all of those spongy tissues wrap around our vagina. And they take about 20 minutes to get full of the blood flow that we need from our arousal. And so we need 20 minutes of pleasuring. And I don't like the word vagina, because the vagina is just where the period blood comes out, where the babies come out, where the penises and toys go in. But it doesn't look like a canal, like an inside out tube. It looks more like a balloon with a little neck, and then it goes to a big round thing. And one of the most important things is that we get lots of stimulation before penetration. And we need the stimulation in our entire vulva and vagina. And the vagina is the inside and the vulva is the outside. But the tantric lovemakers have a word, a Sanskrit word for the whole female urogenital system, and it's called yoni, Y-O-N-I. I like to think about it like my little yoni. And I think about it as like a little sparkle rainbow, amazing thing. And I really like that word because it's reverential, it's spiritual, it's heart connected, and it takes into account all of the components of our pleasure zones. And Dr. Nan Rice, who is a sexual neuroscientist, what she did was MRI testing of women and their orgasmic capacity. And what she really said was, the more locations you touch, in your lovemaking, the more pleasure and expansion a woman can have, and the more her brain can process the pleasure. Her brain's her biggest sex organ. You touch the vulva or the yoni, but it's processed in the brain. It needs to get plumped, so it has bigger surface area, so it sends more signals to the brain. And when you do all this activation, you actually start to have really incredible pleasure. So one of the things that I've just recently put together is something called orgasmic cross-training, where I've encouraged women to get the 8 types of pleasure tools that activate the different parts of the yoni, so that we can begin to connect the brain to the body, the mind-body connection. And by the way, Dr. Nan says that thinking about the pleasure is almost as good, if not as good, at lighting up the brain as actually having the touch of the pleasure. And so it's very much about us getting out of our head and into our body and feeling our body and activating the labia, the mons, the introital sphincter, the urethral sponge, the perineal sponge, the intravaginal cave, not just in and out, but much more like I'm in and I'm finding all of the places and activating them. And so I put together the 8 types of tools that a woman can add to her pleasure chest at orgasmiccrosstraining.com if women want to know, okay, what should I do? What should be in my bedside table? And I really encourage women to incorporate the tools into their partnered experiences. And if their partners at first are like, are you going to replace me? You say, no. We're activating all of my pleasure zones, so I have more orgasmic pleasure with you when we're together. It's not going to mess up her orgasm. It's not going to numb her out. It's going to activate and make the brain-body connection so she feels way more pleasure. And that pleasure builds and builds and builds on itself. So this is our yoni CrossFit, right? This is what we're doing. We're doing the ropes, we're flipping the tires, we're bouncing the balls, we're doing the sledgehammers with the 8 tools that awaken our yoni.
Absolutely. Wow. That was an amazing explanation. And I already know that everybody out there right now is like, man, she went over a lot of websites. She went over a lot of areas of what I can go download. And I want to make sure that we're leading the guests, all of our viewers and listeners to the right place. So sexualsoulmatesbook.com. Was one of them. The orgasmic cross training, was that tools.com or orgasmiccrosstraining.com?
Orgasmiccrosstraining.com.
Okay, great. Yeah. And they can also find you at susanbratton.com. And I'm sure
on Instagram. Yeah. And then also betterlover.com. If you want to get on my sex tips newsletter, these are the emails that I send out to people. I send out here, this is orgasmic cross training. These are the tools I like. Here's my quiet vibe awards. Here's intercourse techniques. Here's oral pleasuring techniques. Here's your communication skills. I give away so much for free. I mean, I have 20 books and 44 books and 20 programs, but I never expect anybody to have to buy anything from me. I really like to give things away and earn people's trust. And over time, as they build their sexual bench strength, then they're like, wow, we really would like to learn about expanded orgasm. Oh, we would really like to learn about female ejaculation. Oh, we would really like to have my husband become a multi-orgasmic man. And so then they're drawn to it over time. So I really welcome everyone. And if you're on my Better Lover Sex Tips newsletter and you have a burning question, you are welcome to email me and I personally reply, because I feel like it's my honor. I don't see anybody one-on-one. I'm a publisher of passionate lovemaking techniques. So it's my honor to answer people's questions. And often my response will be, watch this video and read this article, and it'll answer your question, because after 2 decades, pretty much everybody asks me the same questions over and over. There are some unique ones here and there. Like just this morning, I got an email from a guy who said, my wife is suffering from frequent UTIs, and so she's really shying away from sex. What do I do? And I said, estrogen replacement therapy. Just intravaginal estrogen will get rid of those UTIs. I mean, women suffer with those because the tissue collapses, and then it just gets really, really friable and painful, just like the vagina. And so there's just little tricks constantly there's answers for everything. I always believe there's an answer, a solution, a compromise, a workaround for everything.
1000% agree. Well, listeners, do we agree that she's the intimacy expert now? I would say we do agree she is. Susan, you brought a wealth of knowledge and tips and just small steps that the listeners can take to have a better to be a better lover, to have a better lovemaking, to have intimacy brought back into their life, especially if it is missing. And that was just so sweet that gentleman reached out to you with, my wife is suffering from the UTIs. And
I get a lot of that.
Just so sweet for sure that he reached out to you. And I just want to thank you so much for being here today. And I want to remind all of our listeners, here's the thing. You're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. You can either live the rest of your life while you're here on earth, maybe with absence of intimacy, never really feeling the full potential that your body could offer you, or this could be a priority to you. And we didn't even tip on and get into the depth of what Susan started the conversation with, which was the longevity of your life. And living longer because
increasing your sex span
of this intimacy. And so, and to me, it just brings so much more happiness and contentment and joy, into, and I'm assuming it also increases massive confidence in individuals. There's so many exterior and other ancillary benefits to what you're teaching. So
yeah, Colleen, I would say number one thing for female entrepreneurs is that when you're having a great sex life, you have really great sexual vitality. And when you have great sexual vitality, you have a lust for life. You have a passion for life that women who aren't having great intimacy simply don't have. And so if you want to be a good entrepreneur and be super successful, it comes down to some pretty good fundamentals, which are movement and exercise, excellent nutrition, positive mindset, and intimate connection, the love of family and friends and your partner.
1,000%. I agree with that. I just taught that yesterday at a workshop. We just had that conversation. So Susan, thank you so much for being here and a guest on Take the Leap. And to all of you women that are out there building your businesses and knowing that you are still looking for a business action plan to be able to reach your goals financially and be able to reach, those goals to exceed the amount of money that you're making today, to be financially independent, and eventually financially free. Don't forget, we do have our Thrive and Prosper retreat coming up on November 1st through the 5th here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. We still do have some spots left. The early bird will go away on September 31st. And I don't even know if we're going to have tickets still in September, to tell you the truth, because we're almost sold out. So It is a very intimate group. So if you are looking for masterminds and coaching and expert speakers, and you really want to be able to reach your goals this year and next, then this is a definitely can't miss retreat for you. And all the information is there at your fingertips. Susan, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And until next time, to all of you listening, remember, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery, where you learned the tools to create a life by design. Remember, you are the only you there is, and you are the only you that will ever be. Be you and be strong, because you are brilliant, and the world needs you at your best. We cannot wait for you to join us again next time.